Welcome back to Game with Kate, where I'm going to cover the recent changes to the wall in PNC Frozen Castle and answer the question, are meat shields really dead? Stay to the end, I'll show you an actual hit that I took during Conquest and how my meat shield stood up. So here we are inside our wall view, where you can see your heroes that you have deployed on your wall and your current stats that you will be using to defend. Your defensive battle rules are very similar to what they were before. You can deploy heroes on your wall to get attribute bonuses, and when battle occurs, like if your main marches out, if the hero is not in the city, they'll be replaced by another combat hero from your roster. Formations are also available on the wall, and the new change here is that there's a maximum number of troops that can be used in the defense of your city, which can be increased by upgrading the wall. If the number of troops in the city is lower than the limit, troops will be pulled in from your larger troop pool to defend. If you have more troops in the city than the limit, you can set the ratio of troop types for the defensive force, and the number of casualties in a single defensive battle cannot exceed the defensive force limit. The soldiers not in the defense cannot become casualties. So essentially, you're capped at how many you can put at the wall. You're also capped on how many you can lose in a given time. This is what it looks like within your defensive troop configuration. The rules here are simple. If no selection is made, your defense will be automatically filled with soldiers from the highest to lowest tier. If you do make a selection, the defenses will be filled according to the troop ratios chosen, but you need to make sure you have enough soldiers of each type in the city that you selected. And if you don't have enough soldiers of that chosen type, other soldiers will be used to compensate, and those will be filled in by soldiers of the same tier first, and then if another type of soldier needs to be used, it'll be used in priority of infantry, cavalry, archer, and vehicle. Within the same type of soldier, the highest tier ones will be prioritized. So what that means is that if I'm setting here cavalry on my wall, I've got 7.5 million. If I have 7.5 million T11s, those are going to be the ones that go to battle first. And so the T1s would never be activated. So let's take a quick look here at the parade ground and the actual troop counts that I have. Cut me a little bit of slack here. I'm still recovering a bit from the accident, but what I have here is 1.8 million T11s and 5.8 million T1s. A couple of things here in the middle we can ignore for this demonstration. It's basically a quarter of my cavalry are T11s. Let's come back here to the wall and look at another meat shield example. If we had gotten rid of these calves and we had put all of our defense is catapults. And then let's take a quick look back at the parade ground again. If you see in my katas, I have got a little over 6 million cats, and most of those are T1s. So my defense on my wall is going to be almost exclusively T1s, but one hit is probably going to wipe out all those cats. If I had 30 million like I used to have, I would probably be able to take a good number of hits before I start losing any of my T11s. So in that case, my meat shield would still be protecting me, but I'm going to lose a lot of battles in the process. So here's how I ended up setting my wall defense to use my meat shield best. I ended up going with a 60-40 ratio of cavalry to cats, which is still going to let me activate my T11s in my defense, but give me a pretty strong number of T1s from both the cavalry and the catapult to help protect them from heavy losses. Now I'm going to come back here and look at the hero mix on my wall and make sure it's still working with my defensive setup. So I don't have any inf. I'm going to take Rod out. I'm going to go back in and add in another cavalry hero to help me out with my cav defense. I have Valerius, who's going to trigger in his skill for the cats because they're on the wall also. So this looks pretty solid. My only concern is if he's at my main march, he might end up being replaced by another hero, but I think we'll be okay. Now, as promised, let's take a look at this combat report from last weekend. I had a hit from Elric. He's a pretty strong archer, but he fell for my nice little trap here, seeing that I'm archer focused, and thought he would be clever and send infantry at my wall, not knowing that it's set up full of calves. So that worked out pretty well in my favor. Even though his stats on the archer friend are much better than mine, my calves passed his infantry, and I was able to successfully defend. You can also see here the troop breakdowns of where I lost troops. I lost about 80,000 of my T11s and T10s, and about 120, 130,000 T1s. Not too bad. Not too bad. I will take that loss, considering he lost 470,000 T11s. I think that this meat shield is still pretty effective, even with the new changes in the game. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest news from PNC, Frozen Castle, and other awesome games on our channel.